Hello, and welcome to episode 555 of the official EstablishTheRun.com podcast. My name is Adam Levitan. It is, of course, time for the weekly show you cannot live without, Market Monday. Yes, that's right. Each Monday, I go over the biggest risers and fallers in average draft position, aka ADP, from the previous 7 days, and discuss whether I'm buying or selling these players at their new prices. Idea is to get you up to speed very quickly on what's happening in the best ball market. Before we get into it here today, reminder that our 2023 Draft Kit Pro is officially live. If you have an active subscription, which includes Draft Kit Pro, you should have gotten an email letting you know about the renewal coming up. If you don't have an active subscription, head to the subscribe page on EstablishTheRun.com. Draft Kit Pro is just $49.99, includes everything you need for redraft, best ball, dynasty. We'll also have some season-long player props released in the Discord for Draft Kit Pro subscribers. Check it out. All right, let's begin with the risers from the last 7 days. I'm going to focus today on veteran movement here. We'll be talking rookie landing spots and outlooks with Josh Norris on the show tomorrow. First veteran riser is Lamar Jackson. He's up 6.8 spots on Underdog to 31.8 overall. He's the QB4 in ADP now. You know, Lamar was not great last year, finished as the quarterback 6 in fantasy before he went down with injury, clearly behind the top tier of Jalen Hurts, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen. Lamar also finished the year in points per game behind Joe Burrow and Justin Fields. But I definitely agree with the market here that Lamar Jackson should be the quarterback 4 in fantasy this year and is a solid round 3 pick, given how the quarterback landscape has changed in fantasy. I couldn't really draw up a better offseason for Lamar Jackson. You replace run-heavy Greg Roman with pass-centric air raid proponent Todd Monken. You get the contract done for Lamar, freeing him up to just play ball, not worry about getting hurt. You give Lamar the best set of weapons he's ever had. Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman expected to be healthy. Zay Flowers, an exciting first-round pick. Odell Beckham as the wide receiver 3. Isaiah Likely can win at the NFL level. Nelson Aguilar. It doesn't take that much of a leap in pass game efficiency and or volume for Lamar to reach that top tier. He remains an insanely good runner. Even with all the issues last year, he averaged 68 rush yards per game, scored 3 times on the ground. Just an absurdly good floor-ceiling combo at the quarterback position. Along similar lines, I wanted to quickly mention Geno Smith. He's up 12.3 spots in ADP. And as I noted on Twitter, again, be sure you're following me at Adam Levitan, I don't see any reason Geno will fall too far off of last year when he finished 8th among fantasy quarterbacks in points per game. You know, Seahawks didn't add an early round quarterback. They now have arguably the best 3 wide receiver set in the NFL with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. You know, I think the Bengals are right there, but Seahawks for sure. Seahawks were also 8th in PROE last year, pass rate over expectation. Like, they are not playing boomer ball. Zach Charbonnet is a better receiver than Ken Walker. I just think Geno is legit, and I agree with the move up here in ADP 12 spots. Second riser, or really third riser I want to talk about here today is Joe Mixon. He's up 14.5 spots to 66th overall. I think this is the third time that I've mentioned Joe Mixon on Market Monday. I've been buying him every time. But even I did not think that the Bengals would come away from this draft with only round 5 Chase Brown out of Illinois at the running back position. You know, the bottom line is the Bengals as a team this year, if we zoom out, they're going for it. Like, they absolutely have to go for it. They're not going to be able to keep this team together too much longer. It's just impossible to pay all of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and the rest of their guys second contracts. So this is the year they have to do it. They have to win the Super Bowl. They have to go for it. And I think it'll be irresponsible going into a year like that with only a round 5 rookie, Travion Williams, and Chris Evans at running back. You know, I think the Bengals know they can't do that. So perhaps what's happening is the Bengals are confident they'll have Joe Mixon for week 1. Maybe he agrees to a restructured contract and he comes back. Maybe the off-field menacing charges, maybe the Bengals are confident those go away. And I know people are thinking, oh, well, the Bengals can just add someone like Zeke Elliott, Leonard Fournette, Kareem Hunt. And that's true. They can, but God, are we sure those guys are even better than Chase Brown? Like, there's a reason those 3 veterans are on the street right now. So I'm still buying Joe Mixon in the 60s here if he has the role he had last year. And by the way, Samaje Perine is gone now, so there is some more room for Joe Mixon to have an even better role than he had last year. But yeah, I mean, Joe Mixon, you know, could be a round 3 pick at worst if all this stuff gets cleared up. Final riser I'm going to talk about today is Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders is up 10.1 spots to 47th overall in FFPC. A sneaky result after the draft was Miles Sanders was a pretty big winner. Obviously Dante Foreman is gone now. They still have Chuba Hubbard, but they didn't take any running backs in the draft. They get the quarterback in Bryce Young. They have paths to like a competent offense. And unlike Jalen Hurts, I do think Bryce Young will have a pretty solid running back target rate. So look, they gave Miles Sanders a pretty massive contract for a running back in free agency, 4 years, $25 million, $13 million guaranteed. I personally think that's insane, considering you could have something like DeAndre Swift, Rashad Penny, and Kenny Gainwell, all three of them for far less combined. But anyway, I digress. You don't give a running back the kind of money that the Panthers gave Miles Sanders not to use him and use him a ton. And I'm not ready to say that Miles Sanders is a good pass catcher, but Hurts's running back target rate was so low. I don't really think we can put all of that on Miles Sanders. And now he's back with Deuce Staley in Carolina. Remember, Miles Sanders caught 50 balls as a rookie with Deuce Staley in Philly. We're currently at 52nd overall on Miles Sanders in our underdog ranks. That's 4 spots ahead of ADP. It's a range of the draft where I'm mostly taking wide receiver or other positions, in that running back dead zone area. But if Miles ever slides back more towards that round 6 range, I would certainly consider him there. All right, let's get to this week's fallers. Dak Prescott is down 8.3 spots to 87th overall, the QB 10. These Mike McCarthy quotes and actions are scary, man. I mean, he fires Kellen Moore, replaces Kellen Moore with Brian Schottenheimer, but says Mike McCarthy, is going to call the plays. And the quote that McCarthy gave was, quote, Kellen wants to light up the scoreboard, but I want him to run the damn ball so I can rest my defense. I mean, this is not what Dak wants to hear for fantasy. I do think that Dallas is going to have a really strong, like borderline elite defense this year. And I also think Tony Pollard's going to smash in terms of run game efficiency. So yeah, I have concerns on Dak. He also loved throwing to Dalton Schultz, and we'll see how much Brandon Cooks has left. Michael Gallup, I mean, God, he has not been good ever since he bled his knee. Schultz is gone now. I think Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, Tua Tagovailoa, Anthony Richardson, I don't think it's crazy to think about taking any of those guys before Dak this year in fantasy. And I'd even personally take Geno at cost over Dak. I mean, Geno goes 20 picks after Dak on underdog. Speaking of the Seahawks, second faller is Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker is down 12.4 spots to 44th overall. Obviously, this was coming after the somewhat surprising Zach Charbonnet pick. We'll talk to Norris more about this tomorrow, but the bottom line is that 52nd overall, which is where Charbonnet went, that's very strong capital for a running back in today's NFL. We also know that Charbonnet, at least in college, was a far better receiver than Kenneth Walker. And Walker only caught 27 balls on 35 targets as a rookie, 2.3 targets per game. So yeah, Walker went from a projection of, 90+% of the early down work and some upside in the passing game to, well, if the coaches like Charbonnet, there's a good chance he steals some early down work, and we can likely forget about any leap for Walker in the pass game. So right now we're at 44 overall. I'm still okay with Walker, but I'll be out on him at much higher than that. Final faller I want to talk about is Kenny Gainwell, and also the context of the DeAndre Swift trade. Kenny Gainwell is down 25.8 spots to 186th overall in FFPC. A direct result of the DeAndre Swift trade. Clearly, obviously, a really big blow to Kenny Gainwell's outlook, as his and DeAndre Swift's skill set overlaps a ton. Both can carry the ball in early downs, but I don't think you'd ever want them as a feature back. Both are good with their ball in their hands in space. Both are very good in the pass game. The problem for Gainwell is that Swift is just like straight up better. I mean, Swift was a 35th overall pick in the 2020 draft. The other problem for both these guys is I don't think that Jalen Hurts' running back target rate is fully a function of the running backs he had. I do think that he'll always target running backs at a far lower rate than average, regardless of who the running backs are. And the Eagles are also loaded at pass catch already. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, that's really elite. And those guys are going to command a ton of targets. So I'm fine taking shots on Kenny Gainwell as it dips here. 186 overall is really late for a good player in a good offense. Round 16, that's totally fine. I took a ton of Gainwell last year in best ball in that range also. I'd definitely rather go 186 Gainwell than spend the 66th overall pick on DeAndre Swift, which is where he's going on underdog right now. We're at 80th overall on DeAndre Swift, 14 spots behind ADP. I like that fade. It's just not enough touches to go around for me to take DeAndre Swift at 66th overall. You can check out our full underdog rankings on the site right now for DraftKit Pro subscribers. All right, that is going to do it for this week's Market Monday. Thanks to all of you for listening. If you have not subscribed to the Establish the Run podcast, be sure you are by searching for it anywhere podcasts are found. Also, be sure you're following me on Twitter for a ton more player takes at Adam Levitan. We'll be back tomorrow to talk rookie landing spots with Silva and Norris. For producer Luke, for the King editor Jackson Kane, for Jerry, the most beautiful beast in the world, I am Adam. Good luck, everybody.